you're a psychic, but there are times when you struggle to get information, or you're not getting anything at all, or you're just feeling totally blocked. Here's what you need to know about why you're blocked, why you're struggling, and how to get unblocked. One of the greatest misconceptions I see in the psychic industry is that if somebody is closed off, you can't get information, and this could not be further from the truth. There is very few times that you are not supposed to get information, or that you can't get information from somebody, and I'm going to share what those times are and why they happen and what it is that you can do about them. If you're new to me, my name is Carrie Cardozo. I am a master psychic, and here are some of the things that I have learned over the years with my own psychic experience, as well as teaching and working with thousands of people regarding energetics, healing, as well as psychic abilities. So there are a lot of misconceptions in the psychic world, and there's a lot of reasons when and why people don't get information. I have seen people say that there's only certain information that people can get. And although this is partially true, more often than not, it's not a matter of what you're allowed to get versus it's more of a problem with the information in the way in which you are allowing that information to flow in. As I said in my video on psychic standards and ethics, there are going to be times that you can't get information, or that you shouldn't be channeling for people. And there are very important reasons why. Let's dive into what it is that is going to block you from getting information, that's going to block your flow, and what you can do in these moments to unblock it. Okay. Now, every single psychic has experienced this on one level or another. If they haven't had moments when they can't get information, or moments when they felt like they shouldn't be channeling, then they're probably lying to you. Even myself, I've had times where I've said no to a question that somebody has asked me. There have been times when I felt like I wasn't allowed access to certain information. And there are absolutely been times when I just couldn't get the information that I needed to. And I dug into, in these moments, I felt really disempowered. I felt like, I struggled. I felt like if I'm a psychic, I should be able to get this information. And so let's dive into what happens in these moments and what you can do to unblock them, okay? And what these moments actually are. So number one, there are going to be times when your emotions are going to get in the way of you channeling. And I see this happen more often than not. And I will tell you, a lot of the times this happens when you're trying to get information for yourself, or if you're in a really emotional state when you're trying to get information from others. Now, when your emotions are really high and really heated, it absolutely blocks your channeling. So I've had people going through really deep emotional places in their life, or emotional situations in their life. Sometimes it's an ending of a relationship, or an ending of, a situation that they've been in. Sometimes it's when somebody is going through some really deep grief. It can be like a situation that's going on in the world. It can just be that something happened that you didn't expect to happen, and you have this overwhelming flow of what we'll call low vibrational emotions, meaning sadness or fear or doubt or grief or anger. These emotions absolutely have the ability, and most often block your ability to receive information. Now, the reason this happens is because these emotions are in low vibrational frequency. When you're in a low vibrational frequency, it takes you out of that place of true connection with the higher vibrational frequencies that bring you your information. So there are absolutely situations, both when you can't channel because you're in such a low vibrational frequency, and oftentimes when you shouldn't channel when you're in a low vibrational frequency. Now, this doesn't mean all the time. There have absolutely been times in my life and in my clients' lives when they've been going through something very traumatic. And once they learn and are able to get out of that emotion or to be able to process that emotion, they actually and separate themselves from that situation. They absolutely can be incredibly powerful channels. So, what do you do when there's all these incredibly powerful emotions that are going on inside of you that are blocking your ability to channel? So, for one, you feel the emotions. You acknowledge that you are experiencing really deep emotions and you feel them. Whether this is to cry or scream or yell or, hit a pillow, not a person, but hit a pillow. Like you give yourself space to process these emotions and acknowledge that you're feeling them and going through them in order to allow yourself to get out of that trap that the emotions hold you in. Once you see that you're out of that trap, the emotions are holding you in, more often than not, you'll be able to tap back into your channels and to get the information that you need. However, it is absolutely your responsibility to both process the emotions as well as know when you're too wrapped up in your own emotions in order to get accurate information. And that's when you should take a step back and sometimes not channel in those moments. Number two, here's something that can absolutely block your channel is and times when you shouldn't be channeling is when your beliefs will get in the way. So this is something that like you don't believe in something. So I absolutely have had moments where I've worked with clients because they've struggled to get information through channeling because they just didn't believe in something. Now, I've worked with, this might surprise you, really, but I've worked with psychics who don't believe in past lives. If you don't believe in a past life, it's going to be very important and darn near impossible for you to be able to get information regarding somebody's past life. If you don't believe in certain beings or that like trees can communicate or rocks can communicate, then it's going to be almost impossible for you to get information from those aspects. So your beliefs can absolutely get in the way of your channeling. I've had people struggle to channel other gods and other high vibrational beings other than source or God or the religious ones because, again, they didn't believe in them. So, whatever it is that your mind can't process the understanding of, it's going to be there because of your beliefs or your upbringing. It's going to be very hard for you to get information around it. This also is true if you don't believe that you can break generational patterns or ancestral lineages. You're going to struggle to be able to get to the information on how to. Okay. So, in these places and in these spaces, it's going to be really important for you to understand what your true beliefs are, because these beliefs will absolutely dictate and create pathways that you channel through, which will leave you limited in the information that you're getting. So, this is one of those times where you can either excuse yourself from the channeling or say, I'm not getting anything from that, but we can leave it aside and we can look at it later and start channeling in different aspects, different avenues for the person. Or this is a great time for you to go to somebody else to expand your belief system and your belief process. Okay. Number three, your opinions and your views on things absolutely can get in the way of your channeling. And I saw this over and over and over again around the 2024 US election, as well as I saw it very prominently through COVID. I also had the experience for myself, and I excused myself from somebody's request to channel. So when we have very strong opinions about something, it can absolutely cloud our ability to see the truth. I saw this happening over and over and over again in the US election of 2024. There were people who had really strong opinions about what was right and what was wrong and what was good and what was bad. And this blocked their ability to truly see and understand the energetics on both sides and both parties. And you can see this based on what people were commenting, what people were doing, what people were saying, because their opinions are getting in the way of them actually truly understanding and being able to channel the truth around both parties and around the situations. Now, I personally had this problem, or didn't have this problem, but more of had this happen to me back in 2021 when COVID was going on. I have very strong opinions regarding medication and regarding certain medical interventions. And I had somebody come to me who said, I want you to channel on whether I should take a medical intervention. And I said to this person, listen, I have very strong beliefs about this, and I care about you and your health. So I'm not going to channel on this for you because I feel like I'll be biased on it. And even though I know I'm reading the energy accurately, I don't want you to feel like I'm being biased on this. So I'm going to excuse myself from this. And I suggest you ask somebody to channel on it who might give you more sound guidance regarding this that fits your beliefs. And that was really important for me. And I knew what was best for her to do. Now, after I worked through my own opinions on it and worked on what I knew was going to happen versus what some people needed to experience, I was able to channel for a lot of people regarding this. But I had to do my inner work first. And it's not that I didn't know the right answer, it was in the delivery that I wasn't trusting myself. And so, this is a really important thing. As psychics, when our opinions get in the way, we might be able to channel the right information, but we might not be delivering it accurately. And if our opinions get in the way, we can cause us to get really heated over something. It's going to be really important for you to do your work on clearing your opinions and clearing your attachment to your beliefs and your opinions before you're able to actually channel, or you give yourself permission to channel and deliver guidance. And for me, this is one of those things. Like, I also had a situation one time that I was going through a tragedy in my life. It was one of the hardest things that I had experienced and had to navigate through. And like hours after it had happened, I had one of my clients reach out to me and ask me to channel on whether she had cancer or not. And it was like the two incredibly important things colliding at once. Here I was going through a tragedy, and one of my clients was experiencing a potential tragedy. And I said to her, I was very honest with her, and I said, listen, this, and this just unfolded in my life like 30 minutes ago. I need to get my groundings and I need to really anchor in my channels before I will trust myself on to be able to channel on whether you have cancer or not. And she totally understood. And I gave myself about 12 to 20 hours worth of times, 12 to 18 hours worth of time to really anchor in my own channel before I would trust myself to give her the most accurate guidance on whether she had cancer or not. And this is something that is going to just increase your trust and respect and the amount that somebody regards you in, versus they're never going to judge you for having their best interest at heart. And it's a very powerful thing to do. And it did allow me to be able to have the space I needed to process what I was going through, to really be able to trust myself to channel on something so important and give her accurate information. And my information was validated by tests and a doctor. So it just showed that I really did do the right thing. And she felt so grateful that I was even able to channel on this for her. So the fourth area that I see people struggle on, and sometimes that you can't channel on, is you are never going to be able to channel your way out of something that you must experience. There are times in your life that you are going to be asked to experience a situation that you need to experience without prior knowledge of it for your soul's growth, for your understanding here in life, for the experiences that you're supposed to experience, and we cannot sidestep that. One of the things that my guides always say to me is you can't channel your way out of a situation that you need to experience as a human. Now, as you get more and more connected to your expanded consciousness and you travel, the more you travel on your ascension path and this path to enlightenment, there are going to be less of those situations that you must experience, kind of what I call in your human form, and a lot more opportunities for you to channel the guidance around. But there will be situations that you just have to navigate through because your soul chooses to experience them that way. This isn't the easiest thing. And as a psychic, it can be really challenging. But it's not only just that this happens with psychics, but it also happens with just normal everyday people. There are certain things that you can't channel for somebody, whether they're not going to be able to receive it correctly or they're not meant to receive it, whatever it is, you're just not going to be able to get those. This is where we want to, if we're not able to get something, it just feels like something is completely blocked to us, that this is an opportunity for us to take a step back and ask, what can we do in this situation instead of what's going to happen? What does the person need to know about this situation or about this relationship or about the future versus give me the exact answer to X, Y, and Z, okay? This is an opportunity to use your questions and to use your skills you have as a psychic to get other information that will benefit them versus just trying to get a really specific answer to a question. Now, number 5, your memory absolutely can get in the way of your channeling. And this is kind of like a different thing. There have absolutely been times in my life when I've been really aggravated at my guides because something unfolded in my life that they didn't tell me ahead of time. And I have been really frustrated. And I've seen people do this as well. They've been like, why didn't my guides tell me? Why didn't I get information on this beforehand? Why does it feel like I was blindsided? Oftentimes, when you feel as a psychic, when you feel like you're blindsided in life, or you feel like you're blindsided with a situation, it's not that you're blindsided, it's that you completely forgot that you already channeled on it and you were given the guidance, but you ignored it. And I see this a lot. It happened to me. There was a really big situation that happened in my life about 3 years ago. I was so angry at my guides. I was like, why didn't you guys tell me ahead of time that this was going to happen? And I remember my guide sitting there and showing me, they said we did. And I was like, no, you didn't. Like, I would have remembered this. And I was wrong. I didn't remember it. And they showed me an exact journal that I had used to channel in. And I used to channel in frequently. And they were like, we did tell you it's in this journal. As soon as they showed me the journal cover, like from my mind's eye, they showed me the journal cover. I was like, oh my God. And I remembered exactly what I channeled. And I went home, dug out this book, opened it up, and found where my guides were right. They had told me something already. I wasn't blocked. I didn't miss the guidance. I actually had forgotten about it. And the reason I forgot about it is because it was guidance I didn't want to hear. And we oftentimes get that. If it's something we don't want to hear, we oftentimes will block it out. And I've seen this happen both with psychics as well as with their clients. So when you're navigating through your psychic gifts and you're channeling and you're looking to get information and you feel like your guides blindsided you, it might just be that you already received the information. You just kind of forgot about it. So you want to check into that. Now, number 6, sometimes the thing that's going to happen is way too big for you to even process because it will cause more harm than good. And so you will not be given access to this information. This could be something that you don't have the conscious awareness to process it, that it's going to send you down a spiral and totally disrupt your life and the guides don't want to do that, this happens. There is discernment in the spiritual world. There are times that you are just not allowed to get information because it will throw you off your course. It will derail you. It will cause something worse to happen than already is. And it's kind of like you're being protected. If there is something that you need to be kind of protected from, then you're not going to get this information. Oftentimes, this includes fate. It includes death, because death is never an accident. Everybody dies at the exact time they're supposed to, that their soul is choosing to. This can also mean like something devastating that's going to happen, or a struggle that's going to happen that you cannot avoid. You might not know ahead of time about it because they would rather you not freak out and not make it worse because you know about it, because it could cause you to make it worse when you know about it. And instead, your highest good is not knowing about a situation. Okay. So that is absolutely a time. And that's one of those times when we just have to surrender to the fact that we're not going to get guidance, and it's absolutely okay. Now, the seventh reason why you might feel as if you're blocked to get information is because you've already gotten the information time and time and time again. You just don't want to acknowledge it. I will tell you, there was a period, I'm embarrassed to say this, but there was a period about 18 months of my life when I would ask a specific question or be struggling with something, and it had to do with my business and my psychic gifts. And anytime I asked, the answer was trust. Just trust. And it made me so frustrated. I got to a point where I was like, I'd ask my guides a question. I wouldn't even let them answer. I'd just mockingly be like, I know, you got to trust, because trust is the answer. And trust. I probably sounded like a 2-year-old in these moments. And the reason I was getting nothing else is because the answer was trust. If you keep asking your guides the same question over and over and over again, or somebody comes to you, I've had clients come to me and they will ask me a question that I've already answered. The guides have already answered. We've extensively gone into it, and there's no other answer other than what they've been given. And I will not get anything. And it's not that I'm not getting anything. It's the fact that I know there's no other answer other than what I've already given them, but they're not processing it. So it feels very stale. It feels like the energy is not flowing. And this is where our responsibility as a psychic is to help them to embody the answer and to understand the answer and to process through what they have to process so that we can then get new information. Guides do not continually repeat themselves. They will repeat themselves to a point. But if you don't want to hear what they have to say, and that's the only answer there is, they just won't say anything. That you already have the information. You already have the answer, so there's no other answer to give. If you come to this situation where there's no other answer to give and they keep telling you the same thing over and over and over again, one, you really need to look at the answer that they're giving you and how you're understanding it. So for me, it was trust. And I was like, I am trusting. But then I would get impatient about something, or I'd constantly ask the same question again. Or I'd be like, can you prove it to me? Or are you sure? Or what else can I do to do this? When the answer was, I just had to trust. Trust for me in that moment meant that I stopped asking, that I stopped needing validation, that I stopped looking for signs, that I stopped questioning the things, that I just moved through life completely trusting without there needing to be a time limit on how much I trusted. That was very hard. And the minute I started trusting, which for me, I felt like at that time, back in 2014, it took me like 18 months, I feel like. And it probably wasn't that long, it just felt like that. But the minute I started actively trusting, I got the next step. Things opened up. The clarity came in because I had to do one in order to get to the other. Guides and psychic guidance, the guidance for our highest good will never rush. They won't skip a step. They won't be like, well, she's come close enough, or she's really worked at this for 12 months, so let's just give her the next information. It just doesn't work that way. That's not how energetics work. You can bypass what you have to do. So this is where you want to do your work. This is where you want to double down. This is where you want to ask the universe, show me how to trust. Show me how to do this. I know you gave me this, so guide me through it. That's when the information is going to open up. And the last thing that I see that oftentimes prevents people from getting information or feeling like they can't connect is when you're meant to actually be connecting to yourself, because the answer lies within. There are moments that psychics can, and as well as their clients, give their power away to guides and to constantly needing validation with the information or getting the information outside of yourself. If this is a period of time in your life that you're supposed to be connecting within, that you're supposed to be growing your connection with your soul, that you already have the answer already lies inside of yourself, and you're experiencing trusting yourself instead of needing validation from either another psychic or from your guides will be quiet and they'll feel as if they're stepping back. They'll feel as if they're ignoring you. They'll feel as if they're just like kind of standing there watching you. I've had this experience before years ago, as well as my clients oftentimes will come to me and say, I feel like I'm not getting anything. Like my guides won't talk to me. Like they're sitting there staring at me, but they're not giving me any information. And this oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes is a sign that you already have the answer and the answer lies within. There is a very big difference between getting psychic information, which is the information outside of yourself, versus using your intuition, which is that connection to your soul and the energetic blueprint you already hold. They will never bypass information. So a guide, you can't get the psychic guidance from outside of yourself if you already hold the knowledge within, and it's going to be the most powerfully received from within side of yourself. So check these things, check these 8 things when you're struggling with getting that information and you feel as if you can't connect. Let's recap them very quickly because these are important. Number 1, there are absolutely going to be times that your emotions get in the way. You can't channel when your emotions are in the way, and you shouldn't channel when you're in really low vibrational emotions. Number 2, there are going to be times when your belief system or the beliefs of the people you're channeling for get in the way of you being able to access information, and there are times when you shouldn't be channeling based on your beliefs. Number 3, your opinions can get in the way of you getting accurate information. If you know you have a really strong opinion about something that's kind of fueled with an emotion, it is for the highest good sometimes for you to take a step back and say, this isn't for me. I can't channel on this. You're better off going with somebody else, because oftentimes your opinion will be mixed into the answer. So do your due diligence and really know yourself when you should take a step back. Number 4, if there's a situation you have to navigate through and experience, you cannot channel your way out of it. You must experience. Number 5, sometimes the reason you didn't get the guidance is because you already got it and you forgot that you got it and you're looking for something else. Number 6, there are times that it's way too big, it's way too important, it's way too devastating, and you're not going to get that answer. And some of these things, and this varies on the person trying to get the information. Some people can get information on people's time and place and date of passing, or that they're going to, and some people just can't. Sometimes you can get really devastating news ahead of time, and sometimes you're just not supposed to. Number 7, you've already been given the answer over and over and over again, and there's no other answer. And that's when you have to remember what that answer was in order for you to be able to move forward. And number 8, you aren't meant to be connecting with psychic guidance outside of yourself. You're meant to be connecting with your soul, okay? Just because you can't channel it doesn't mean you're broken. Just because it feels as if your channels are blocked doesn't mean they actually are. There are going to be times that you struggle to get guidance. There is going to be times that you shouldn't be trying to get guidance. A good psychic will know when they shouldn't channel. A master psychic will know what they need to do and how they need to align in order so that they can get the information. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe, leave me a comment, leave me a request as to what you would like me to dive deeper into or share more channeled guidance on, and be sure to join my Psychic Elegance community. It's completely free. And if you're ready to dive deeper into your psychic skills, I'm inviting you to jump into one of my psychic development programs or my certification programs, or come on over and join my Sovereign membership. Thank you guys for joining me on this episode of The Psychic Within, and I will see you next time.